Welcome to the Trading with Venus podcast, where we help you establish strong trading habits, generate consistent profits, and create the lifestyle you desire for yourself and your family. Now your host, Raman Gill.
Welcome to another episode of the Trading with Venus podcast. I'm your host, Raman Gill. Today, I would like to talk about an interesting topic that is related to trading, but that's not something we think about when we go into it. It's not usually in our mind, but it really plays out in our trading. And that is a scarcity mindset. Now, you may have heard about mindset and things we need to do to manage our mindset. However, not very many people talk about scarcity mindset or limiting beliefs that we bring into our trading. What is a scarcity mindset? Scarcity mindset is when you believe that there is not enough. So this could be not enough trades, not enough profits, not enough pips. I find when people first start trading, they usually want to make money, which we all do. That's the whole point of trading. But we usually come into trading thinking we need to make X amount of money. For example, I have heard many people say to me, okay, I want to learn how to trade, and while I'm trading, I would like to make $1,000 a week or $5,000 a month or something like that. And they're starting with a very small account size. Now, this is really hard to accomplish, but somehow we feel that we can come into trading, we can learn it on the fly, and we can start making money right away. Whereas when we think of our careers, it's not like we just took the first class and all of a sudden we became a pilot. It's not like we took the first class and now we became an engineer and all of a sudden we are at the top of the engineers in terms of salary and career path. It doesn't play out that way. However, we come into trading with that mindset where we are trying to create a lot out of very little. And then when we don't meet those standards or expectations that we have set for ourselves, then we get into scarcity mindset. And then we think, oh my God, I'm not making enough pips. I'm not getting into enough trades. I'm not getting enough profit. How can I make any profit when I'm only making $5 a trade if you're just trading micro lots? We need to get out of this mindset where we think that it's not enough. No matter how much pips we make, how much profit we make, we just think it's not enough and we need to get more. First way to get out of that place is to set realistic expectations. And then is to start thinking about how you're setting the expectations. When you set the right expectations, then measure those results. But a lot of times we try to do more, and every time we take a trade, we may make 50 pips, but then you're like, oh, 50 pips is not enough. That's not true. 50 pips is a lot of pips. You could actually make a living making 50 pips a week or even 50 pips a month. Now, how do we do that? Now, this leads me into second point, which is to maximize what you're already doing. A lot of times I find that people want to make 200, 500 pips a week. However, we don't need to do that. You could actually make a very good living by only making 20 pips a day. How do you do that, you may ask? That is by maximizing what you're already doing. Instead of trying to do more, instead of trying to run a marathon, if you're only a sprinter, don't try to run a marathon. Know yourself. If you cannot pace yourself in a marathon, you can only do a sprint, then just do a sprint, which means do a few trades, but short-term trades. And if you only get 20 pips out of that, once you get really good at getting those 20 pips, now you can scale it up. So if you're trading a mini lot or one standard lot and you wanted to scale your 20 pips, first you have to get good at it. So you need to know that you can actually get the 20 pips. Then instead of trying to make the 20 pips into 100 pips, why don't we just scale it up? Instead of going with one mini lot, we can put 2 mini lots on this. Now, when you do that, your mind may try to make you uncomfortable, but that's why you need to know that what you're doing, you're able to confidently make those 20 pips. And once you get there, then you just maximize that. Instead of 1 lot, we are putting in 2 lots. So whether that's mini or micro or standard, doesn't matter. It's just that we are scaling it up a bit. And once you get good at scaling with the 2 there, then you can add on a 3rd one. But very important that you're not, again, trying to push too hard. You're just staying with what works and you're just maximizing that. 3rd thing to keep in mind is to find the positives in every loss. Now, losing is a big part of trading. However, most people will try to not have any losses. That is just not possible. If you participate in a race, you will not win every single race. So why put that kind of pressure on your trading account? We're not going to win every single trade. So just know that going into it. And then if you lose a trade, let's dissect it. Most people don't take the time to review what happened with their trades, where they made mistakes, or where they could have changed something. So instead of seeing the loss as a big failure and beating yourself up over it, why don't we just dissect it, look at what needs to be done differently the next time and learn the lesson from it and see that lesson as a positive, because if you see that lesson, if you truly look at what went wrong or what you could have done differently, now you have an opportunity to do that the next time. So you're not repeating your mistakes. Whereas most people, and I've done that, most people will go into a bad trade, they take a loss, and then they beat themselves up over it. So forget beating yourself up over it. Take a moment to wallow in self-pity. That's okay. But after you've done that, let's take a look at what could be done differently. Next time you do that and you find yourself face to face with the same situation, now you know what to do differently, and that loss can then be prevented the next time. So that loss will actually turn into a profit. So this is how you turn a loss into something positive. Another very important thing that happens to all of us is that we hang out with other people who like to complain as well. Especially as traders, when we take a loss or things are not going well, we will talk to our friends who are usually in the same position where they're taking loss or they're taking bad trades and doing some crazy stuff. Then we all complain about the market and we complain about the brokers. We complain about what somebody else did instead of focusing on the positive or just letting it go and putting yourself into the right frame of mind. So be very careful with the company that you keep. If you are in the company of people who will take a loss, review it, and then take the lesson from it, you're in the right company. But if you're sitting with a bunch of friends who are all complaining about the markets and everything else, then you need to take a moment and think about that, because what you put focus on, you will recreate. So if you say markets are bad, markets are going to be bad in the future as well. So instead of saying the whole market's bad, why don't we look at what didn't work and how can we improve upon that? They say you are the average of 5 people you hang out with, and I have found that to be very, very true, because when I want to do something and nobody else wants to do that, so if I want to trade and nobody else in my circle wants to trade, everybody will try to talk me out of that. Now, I have been in that situation many times, so I don't always tell people that I am a trader, because first thing that will come out of their mouths is, oh, don't 95% of the traders lose money? Well, it's true, but 95% of the businesses fail as well, and yet we all either work for a business or have a business or know someone who is successful in business. So if we all make money from business, then how come that statistic of 95% of businesses fail? How can that be true? That means the 5% that are doing it well are doing something really effective. So if you're hanging out with the 95% that do not have a successful business or have never started a successful business, how can you then fall into the 5% category where they do have a successful business, they do make money from a business, they do create wealth, not just for themselves, but for future generations as well out of that business? Same thing with trading. If you're hanging out with people who are all bashing the market, then take a moment and think what you're going to create tomorrow, because that's exactly what you'll perpetuate, because you're so focused on market not being right that you're going to create it over and over again, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you want to start hanging out with people who have a positive outlook on it, or at least who are taking a moment to dissect what went wrong and how they can change that for the future. So people that you hang out with are very, very important. The last thing is use your vocabulary wisely. Our self-talk is very important to the type of results we are creating. For example, if you tell yourself, I never win at trading, I always lose my trades, this sucks, then that's the type of thing you will find that you keep recreating again and again. Now, this doesn't just play out in trading, it plays out in real life as well. So when you look at something in a hopeful way, then you are positive, you will take action to then make that thing happen. So for example, if you want to start a new career, if you're positive about it, you will first find out how do you get into that career, what courses do you need to take, what kind of education you need to get, do you need to do apprenticeship, do you need to learn it from somebody, and then you'll start taking those, you'll create a plan, and then you'll start taking those steps. Now, if you were not very hopeful about it, and if you thought everything was not going well, the economy wasn't doing well, the job market was not doing well, on the other hand, you will find yourself not taking the action. So instead of coming up with a plan, you may just say, oh, I'm never going to find a job because the economy is bad right now. So you haven't even come up with a plan. You haven't even explored the different options that you have to find a job. All you have done is you've just complained about it, you came up with an opinion, and then you created that because you didn't do any of the steps. Same thing with trading. If you are talking to yourself, your self-talk is very negative, where you're beating yourself up over the losses you may have taken, or you're just complaining about the market just being sucky, or every time you sit to take a trade, you think to yourself, oh my God, I hope I don't lose. Or, oh my God, I can never get into a good trade. How am I going to find a good trade? How will I make this work? All of that negative self-talk will actually help you create more negative results. Instead, if you start doing something positive, so get yourself into that positive frame of mind before you sit down to trade. For example, if you like listening to music, maybe you can listen to some positive motivational songs which actually make you feel like you can do something. For example, the Champions song, since that movie's coming out, We Are the Champions, that's a good one. You'll find that a lot of times when basketball teams go out to play, that's the song they play right before they step onto the court. So you may want to create a little routine for yourself, doesn't have to be fancy, maybe playing some positive music to get yourself into the right frame of mind before you start looking at charts. Or if you're like me, who likes to listen to motivational stuff, maybe you can listen to motivational podcasts or a positive YouTube video where you can take some of those concepts and you can listen to somebody who actually creates that positiveness for you and helps you get into the right frame of mind. For me, Tom Bilyeu, I find, is one of those guys that I have been listening to recently. He will talk about something positive most of the time, or he'll talk about how to overcome something, and I find that's very motivational. Or if you're the type who likes to work out is a great way to put yourself into that positive space where you have endorphins going, you're feeling just overall, you're feeling really positive and healthy. That will then translate into your mindset, positive mindset in trading as well. Or the last one, if you're into meditation, you can give that a try as well. So you calm yourself down and you put yourself into a positive frame of mind. Now, those are some of the things that I have found to be effective for me, that have worked for me to go from scarcity mindset to more of an abundance or positive mindset, where you feel more hopeful, where you feel like you can actually create the results that you want to create in your life. Give those a try and let me know what you think. For show notes for this episode, please visit tradingwithvenus.com/podcast page. That's all for today, and I will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us today. With much gratitude, your show host, Raman Gill.